大家好，欢迎收看今天的节目。如果用一句话来形容人生，不一样的作家文人会给出不一样的解答。如果是庄子，他可能会笑笑，然后说：“不知舟之梦为蝴蝶语，蝴蝶之梦为舟语。”如果是曹操，他可能会说：“对酒当歌，人生几何？譬如朝露，去日苦多。”如果是莎士比亚，他可能会说：“生存还是毁灭，这是一个问题。”如果是乔伊斯，他可能会说：“人们活着，欢笑，爱过，然后离去。”那么今天我们要介绍的这位爱尔兰作家，这位诺贝尔文学奖得主贝克特，他对于人生有非常不一样的见解。引用他一句非常著名的话，他曾经说过：“我们活在这个世界上，这病没法治。”所以他认为人生既是悲剧又是喜剧。那么就让我们跟随今天的对话，进入这位爱尔兰作家贝克特的内心世界。
Hello, welcome to our episode today. Today we are going to talk about another Irish author whose name is Samuel Beckett.
Sam Beckett's going to be our second major Irish writer. And I don't know if we've said this before, but just something for people watching and listening. It is mind-blowing how many great writers Ireland has produced. And people may or may not know that Ireland is a country with a fairly small population. The population of Ireland has varied quite a lot, partly because it had a very terrible famine in the middle of the 19th century. And then there was a huge decline in population, and in recent years the population of Ireland has grown again. But I think it hovers at around, I think the population of Ireland now is about 6 million.
6 million?
6 million, yeah. And when I went to Dublin in the 1980s, I think the population of the Republic was around 3.5 million, which was about what it was, I think, in Beckett and Joyce's day. So I think before the famine it was about 8 million perhaps. But it's never been a huge country, and to have produced the writers it's produced, I mean, many of the great writers of the English language are Irish. And it's sort of a fascinating question. Why has this small country produced so many incredible writers? I mean, the population of London is greater than the entire population of Ireland. London has produced a fair number of writers, but nothing like the extraordinary people that have come out of Ireland.
Since we talked so much about the background, about Irish literature, so what's Samuel Beckett's position in the world of Irish literature in his lifetime?
Well, Beckett achieved great renown in his lifetime. Perhaps most obviously winning a Nobel Prize for Literature in 1969. But he was also, like Joyce, I mean, they make a good pair. It's useful to go from Joyce to Beckett because they are quite alike in some ways, and they're also very different. And of course, they knew each other. They were both residents of Paris. They were both Irish people of a certain socioeconomic class who studied languages at Irish universities, left Ireland, became incredibly renowned, never really went back to Ireland, certainly never lived there. Beckett was successful in London, in Paris, in New York. He won the Nobel Prize. He was an incredibly acclaimed writer in his lifetime, and I think was appreciated and understood in Ireland, but was certainly a citizen of the world, I think.
Citizen of the world. It's a very good term to describe him. And also I read the essay you sent me, and about his relationship with James Joyce in Paris. And I knew something about his sometimes James Joyce asked him for a walk in Paris, and then Samuel Beckett said he's quite admired James Joyce for his work Ulysses, and also he mentioned another book called Finnegan's Wake.
Finnegan's Wake.
Yeah, Finnegan's Wake in the essay.
Yeah. I mean, Finnegan's Wake we can talk about because it's so difficult. I mean, if Ulysses is challenging, Finnegan's Wake is
more challenging. Even
it's 50 times more challenging.
Okay.
I mean, it's virtually unreadable except for the mad geniuses or people with a huge amount of help. And it was known when Beckett knew Joyce, I think, as a work in progress. And I think Beckett's first considerable piece of writing was an essay that he wrote for Joyce about Finnegan's Wake as a work in progress, which was published by Sylvia Beach and Shakespeare and Company.
In his work, a saying called, "You're on the earth, there is no cure for that," which I think is quite brilliant for him to, quite brilliant saying.
Yeah, I mean, Beckett has lots of great lines, and they always have this curious mixture of existential exploration. So Beckett's considered to be, I suppose, a very highbrow, very intellectual writer. He wrote novels and plays. I think probably now he's best known for his plays, and really only a couple of plays. I mean, the plays that are regularly performed in the repertoire are probably really three, which are Waiting for Godot, which is kind of preeminent and was a very early play. Endgame, yeah, and then Krapp's Last Tape fairly regularly gets revived, and Will We Not Die. I mean, Beckett's plays are still performed in various ways because they're part. I mean, the tradition of the theatre of absurd, and of course. So Beckett's plays are normally categorised as the theatre of the absurd, and the theatre of the absurd is an important literary movement. But the category is created by critics. It's like in English we have these poets called metaphysical poets, and they clearly make some kind of a sense as a group. They're writers of the 17th century. But of course they didn't describe themselves as metaphysical poets. And sometimes people do create literary movements and call themselves something. Like people say, I am a whatever. But that's not the case with
Beckett.
No, Beckett didn't join a club and say, it wasn't a manifesto to create absurdist drama. But it feels very helpful to group him with other writers whose mode is unrealistic. They're not writing realism. They're writing plays and stories sometimes that are curious and dreamlike and strange, that are concerned with the big questions of existence. Yeah, and often existence via looking at very small things. So there's this sort of very delicious sort of paradox in a play like Waiting for Godot, where although the play feels like it's concerned with huge questions of what it means to be on this earth and to be a human being, often the things that people are talking about are, where did you put my carrot, or what happens if we go over there? They're very sort of reduced in terms of their concern. And that's one of the ways that absurdism works. People will just get really interested in something to do with this pillar, and they'll talk about it
all the time.
Yeah. So they're often, I mean, it's very funny. So it's serious and philosophical. It's tragicomic. It's concerned with existence. It's dreamlike. It's unrealistic, and often uses the techniques and grammar of clowning and other forms of comedy. I'm Waiting for Godot at its best. It's very funny.
It is funny, but also desperate. They're hugely, they're kind of like they're like endlessly in a circle, in a repetition.
Yes, that's one of the things that often happens.
They never really get to an end, I'd like to say. That never really...
No, Godot never comes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, things go round and round and round. And the other thought is that it's Beckettian. Meaning like Samuel Beckett.
Oh, Beckettian. It just reminds me of something which somebody talked to me the other day, talking about life and art. Like, what is the kind of truthful truthful thing about life, or what is the truthful image about life? Is it
Yeah.
life imitates those kind of theatre, art, or art imitates life?
I don't know, but I think the great writers and the original writers, people like Beckett, just see through a different lens, but what they see is there. I was mentioning to you that I was watching something about 3 old ladies.
Oh, yes.
I was telling you about that last night, and I just thought it was brilliant because...
Sailing to...
Yeah, sailing from Llandudno, which is...
Llandudno.
Well, Llandudno.
Llandudno.
Yeah.
The place in Wales.
Yeah, the place in Wales.
I went to...
You've been there?
Yeah.
You've been to Llandudno.
Llandudno.
And you can get a boat, you still can actually, from Llandudno to the Isle of Man, which is a small island. And it's quite a long journey. Like it's hours, it's several hours, not days, but hours. And I was watching a documentary from the 1970s about 3 quite elderly ladies who every day that the boat is sailing, for years, have taken the boat from Llandudno to the Isle of Man and then back again.
Okay.
And they were fascinating because they were sort of similar but different. One of them was much slower than the others. So in the film, 2 of them are often walking on, and the third one is sort of limping behind them to catch up. And they just sit on the boat and drink cups of tea and feel the wind in their hair and chat to people about the same things, and go to the Isle of Man and do the same things. One of them visits a cousin, the others go to the shops, and then they come back. And they've been doing this for years and years and years and years and years. They have what's called a season ticket. And that is a completely Beckettian kind of situation, scenario. Yeah. You would think if you wrote a play about 3 people who take the same boat to the same place every day for years and have the same conversation, that is sort of the essence of Beckett. And we can find all of ourselves in that.
Probably they're huge fans of Beckett.
Don't think so.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. So I don't think they've invented their lives.
According to his art, no.
No,
They just live like that.
Well, yeah, I think we all live like that. So it's very easy.
We don't sail to Isle of Man every year.
No, but I get up every day and I come to London and I sit here and people come and see me and we have the same conversations and I do the same things and I think the same thoughts and I eat my lunch in the same place.
In that Middle East place. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Tasty.
It is tasty, and life is moving. You know, things are changing. It does evolve, but in a strange way. And it's funny, and it's full of. It's also full of light. You know?
Full of light, full of hilarious things.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Aging and dying. And
aging and dying
are funny.
Are funny.
Yeah, hilarious.
Well, death
is quite funny.
Is funny.
Yeah.
Death is fun. People are afraid of being dead.
Yes. Well, that's funny too, isn't it? Why be afraid of something which is so inevitable? Like, have we not figured it out yet?